Headline news most affecting Chilliwack this week. Well, this week is full of candidate debates, including school trustees, and that will be on chillTV following tonight's news. This Friday is Orange Shirt Day in recognition of truth and reconciliation. There are a number of events around Chilliwack. Cops for Cancer, their bike race ran into a flock of $100 bills. The formal dedication of Rick Klassen Field at Sardis Secondary is coming up on Friday, and Josh will have more on sports. And our guests this week include a lot of candidates: Willow Reichelt, Nicole Huitema, Ian Carmichael, and Harv Westeringh. All right, Chilliwack, let's get started. And before we begin, we have to apologize for an error last week in our interview with Amber Price. The title graphic that we used identified her as a candidate for school trustee, when in actual fact, Ms. Price is a candidate for Chilliwack City Council. So our apologies to Amber and her election team. Now the top story, and tonight at 7:30, the District Parent Advisory Council for the Chilliwack School District, along with chillTV, will premiere District 33, the school trustee debates. Now these were recorded earlier this week, and with a number of candidates that we have, the candidates were split into two groups. Now both debates will air consecutively, and that will be in their entirety later this hour. We've also had our first bombshell of this year's elections, and just yesterday, chillTV learned via the Chilliwack Progress that Chilliwack school trustee candidate Lewis Point is going to drop out of the race. He has already told Election BC to take his name off the ballot. He is citing, and we're quoting the Chilliwack Progress, a personal medical matter. Meanwhile, there is controversy in Abbotsford. Their mayor and council candidate debates fall on Friday. That's also Orange Shirt Day in honor of truth and reconciliation. Some have criticized the timing as being tone deaf, and the debate should be held either, the day before or the day after. Well, the host, Garden Park Seniors Tower, responded to chillTV's request for why this was, and they said they simply couldn't change the timing when it came to gathering all their candidates together in one place. Now, in our series of candidate interviews, we have a number of them this week, starting with school trustee Willow Reichelt. She is vying for a second term as trustee. That interview is coming up later in the show. Nicole Huitema is a longtime business person in Chilliwack. She wants to become a city councillor. That interview is minutes away. Current city councillor and realtor Harv Westeringh wants another round as a councillor, and obviously housing issues are the forefront of his concern. That interview is minutes away. And Ian Carmichael, no stranger to running for office in Chilliwack. He has made two previous unsuccessful bids as a city councillor, but this time around, he wants to be mayor. Housing and crime, two of his major talking points. chillTV's interview with the mayoral wannabe is later on in the show. There will be a Truth and Reconciliation traditional powwow at Chilliwack Secondary. That is on Friday, September the 30th. It is a free event. There are a couple of grand entrances, the first at 1, the other at 7 p.m. And there is a parade from the school to Central Community Park. That starts at 10 a.m. This is co-sponsored by the Dan Milo Society, the City of Chilliwack, the BCGEU, and Chiacton First Nation, among others. You're also invited to join Wilma's Transition Society, again on Friday from 11 to 3 at Sardis Park. Again, it's in honor of Truth and Reconciliation Day. And there will be food trucks and information booths. Wilma's Transition Society is a nonprofit located in Chilliwack. It offers safe housing and support services for women and children who are victims of violence. And now for something completely different, and our apologies to Monty Python. You can join in Cultus Lake's second annual Witches Paddle at Entrance Bay. That's on Saturday. This was inspired by events in Portland and the Kitsilano Witchalano Parade Paddle. So all you do is paddle your board, you wear a witch's costume, and you're raising money for search and rescue. And yes, they have a Facebook page. As the 33 Cops for Cancer Tour de Valley riders were wrapping up their visit to Chilliwack last Friday, they were shocked at what transpired. After a long day of cycling through the streets of Chilliwack to raise money for the Canadian Cancer Society and pediatric cancer research, riders from the tour were flabbergasted when they found themselves cycling over multiple $100 bills. In fact, what happened was a rancher was going to buy some sheep. He forgot he left an envelope with about $2,700 in cash in the back of his truck. Long story short, the cops saw this or drove over it. They collected most of it, about $2,300 of the lost cash. But sadly, even they don't know what happened to the rest of that money. Saturday is the first day for Girl Guides to sell the chocolate mint cookies. The fundraiser was halted for those cookies a couple of years ago because of the pandemic. Just go to Fraser Valley Girl Guides Facebook page for all the locations. Now, after the break, another 4 interviews with election candidates. We also have another edition of Councillor's Corner, Chilliwack City, with Bud Mercer, and then Josh with sports. chillTV's News of the Week continues with our conversations with the different candidates that are running for the 2022 municipal elections, either with school board or with city council. Nicole Huitema is joining us. You're running for council. This is your first time in. Some people know you from the business community, but the 60-second business card. Who are you and what's your background?
Thanks, Don. My name's Nicole Huitema, as you said, and I'm a longtime Chilliwack resident. I've been living here my entire life, very excited about that. Grew up on my parents' family farm and just a farm girl at heart, but also, yes, you're right, I've had many local businesses, and currently I'm the general manager for Community Futures South Fraser, where we help local entrepreneurs start up, grow, and develop their businesses.
Now, from that, what do you want to bring to the table when you become a city councillor? You've got the business end, but you're also very passionate about protecting farmland. So there's this balance that you're trying to do.
For sure. So it's really important that we sustain our ALR. That is where we grow our food for our community and for other communities as well. So we want to make sure that we maintain that, absolutely. And the economic growth and development is very important to sustaining a community that we can all live in and support. So we're not a bedroom community. We want to maintain that, really a livable city. The other side of what I do is very social and focus. So with Chilliwack Healthier Community, I work on different task forces, poverty reduction, food security, mental health awareness, as well as transportation. So, that gives me some really hands-on experience and a unique insight into the social and infrastructure needs of our community.
Wrapping that all together is the fact that Chilliwack is, and we were talking about the farm community, we're not that little town anymore. And how do you present that to those that, I wouldn't say bristle, but have a difficult time accepting the fact we're a city of over 100,000. We are growing rapidly, and we have to make some hardcore decisions, transportation being one of them, and business decisions. We can't really grow up. We have to grow up. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. So when I grew up here, it was 35,000 people, and I've watched it grow to 100,000 people. But I think that we've done a really good job. We're creating some dense spaces or mixed use spaces and high density. And I think that's important. It creates this wonderful community where everybody is living together and they can support each other. They can walk to everywhere they need to go. And it just makes for a great community vibe.
One thing that you've also mentioned in some of your material is your concerns with the dikes. And we talk about climate change, the environment. Last fall, of course, we saw what could happen. Are we okay with where the dikes are, or are there parts of Chilliwack that you have concerns with?
So if you look at our 2022 strategic plan for the city, it does talk about continuing that infrastructure build on the diking system. So, it seems like the city is already doing good work around the diking. There are concerns on Indigenous lands. And so working together with the provincial and federal governments, I think, will be really important to support and continue that dialogue with the First Nations communities to make sure that they are protected as well.
Taxes are always a big issue. Chilliwack, and this is going back to former Mayor Sharon Gates, she was always hammering away pay as you go, pay as you go. And then you look at some of the things that Abbotsford went through with the old hockey team, and we won't get into the details of that. But is that a fear of yours of a tax increase down the road, or do you think Chilliwack can keep it reined in?
It looks like we're doing sustainable tax increases, so very small tax increases. It looks like last year they did a 2.99% tax increase, and I think that with the pay-as-you-go structure, they're investing in the future and that, real stewardship around infrastructure and the environment. So that's an important piece. I think that we can continue to grow our community in a safe, sustainable way, keeping our tax base low.
You have the final word.
Well, thank you. Vote Huitema Reid October the 15th, but most importantly, get your friends to get out and vote on October 15th.
Nicole Huitema Reid, thank you so much. And running for City Council. And chillTV will have extensive coverage on October the 15th after the polls close for this, what should be a long evening, to find out who is going to become City Council, who's the mayor, and who is going to be your next school trustee. You're watching chillTV's News of the Week. chillTV's News of the Week, continuing with our series of talking with the candidates running for either City Council or as a school trustee for the 2022 municipal elections. Harv Westeringh running for number 2, your second shot at council. What did you learn in the first go round? Because that first 4 years has got to be the major learning curve.
I learned a ton. I learned there's a lot of people in this community that make it move forward, and you got to do a lot of collaborating with people. Teamwork is essential to get anything done. And COVID humbled us a lot. We learned a lot there too. And then we had the heat dome and the atmospheric rivers, and 2021 wasn't all that kind, but through it all we persevered, and I think we're in good shape right now. Climate
action plan, as we talked about, what happened last November with the rain and everything else. That is something that's big on your agenda.
Yeah, so recently Council adopted the climate action plan, and we're making great strides toward it. We're starting with obviously the simpler things, LED lighting. We're doing some heat conversion from the Coliseum into the landing leisure pool. We made a commitment to convert our operations fleet to natural gas, to electric by 2030. And lots of those sort of items are on the list. The step code energy code is kicking in, and that's 20% more efficient, and that'll be implemented by the end of the year. So lots of things going forward.
Public safety, again, a big issue for you. This past week, we just received yet another terrible piece of news with more record overdose numbers. The drug trade obviously tied in with crime. Your thoughts on what you want to see in your second term?
That's a real tough one. It's something that we wrestle with all the time. We don't really want to become a magnet for the region's people experiencing homelessness, but at the same time, we've got to be compassionate and we got to help out wherever we can. With regards to crime, we have, over the last term, we've added 19 police officers and 8 support staff. And hopefully that goes a long way to helping out with that.
And of course, where we are, just physically with the number of institutions we have, it's just part of our backyard. We have to accept that. Is that a common feel, or is it not so much a bad thing, but it's just, okay, this is a reality. We have Kent over here, we have Matsqui over here, and so and so.
The majority of our crime is being done by prolific offenders. That's the truth. And the problem with that is, as long as it's just property crime, the justice system doesn't take that too seriously. If it's crime against persons, then it's dealt with seriously. So a lot of these guys are just getting outed a week after they get apprehended. I did see recently provincial government is taking us seriously. They came through about a half a year ago and asked all the mayors and councillors for kind of feedback on that sort of thing. We made it very clear to them that we thought prolific offenders should be put behind bars, and I've seen something coming down the pipeline that they're coming on board. They're thinking about mandatory rehabilitation for prolific offenders, so that should go a long way. Fingers crossed. I mean, we hear a lot, but sometimes you don't see the action. So.
Yeah. Housing, a big issue, and your background is in real estate, so you're getting it from both directions as someone in the real estate industry, someone sitting on council. You're in the middle getting all of this. Where do we sit on housing? What do you want to see? There's only so much room in Chilliwack to grow.
Yeah, there is, but we do have a long way to go. We have a lot to offer that way. COVID has had a real impact, obviously, on our housing situation here. We've had record increases. Prices did peak in February, and they've come down around 15% right now. The only thing we can really do as a city is managing supply. So the more supply we have, the better the prices should be. And that's kind of what we're doing. So we've implemented things like every detached home can have a legal suite. And then we went a step further and we said townhouses, row homes, and duplexes can also have a legal suite. Any home zoned R1A can have a carriage house. We're starting to see 5- and 6-story apartment buildings in town. We've made the parking allocation for units smaller based on their proximity to frequent public transit. So all those things show that we have a willingness to increase the supply in this community, and by doing so, we should decrease the price of housing.
You were mentioning 5- and 6-story apartment buildings. Are we going to see even bigger? Will the community accept a 10-story apartment building, or even bigger than that?
I think that's a ways out, but I don't think we have much choice but to accept it. I mean, unless you're a First Nations person, everyone moved here from somewhere else, and it's a desirable place to live, and people keep coming here. So if we want our kids to have a place, to call their own, then we have to increase the supply so that pricing stays reasonable. So I don't think we have an option. No one really wants to see increased density, but it's an unfortunate reality. And
part of that tied into it is the ugly word taxes. I know former Mayor Sharon Gates was always harping on pay as you go. Are we okay, or are we going to get into a situation where there's going to be a nasty reality to the tax bill down the road?
No, we're definitely okay. We have a pay-as-you-go philosophy, so if we borrowed, then there would be a nasty tax bill down the road, because then suddenly, especially right now with rising interest rates, you're going to be using tax dollars to pay down interest and pay down debt, where in our case, we don't have that situation. We continually reevaluate our 10-year comprehensive municipal plan, and we plan accordingly, and we set things out like 5-6 years down the road. We put money in, and then when the opportunity arises, then we have the money there to do that capital project. So with regards to taxes too, we've also kept our taxes to under 3.5% the first 2 years, and then under 3% the last 2 years. Lowest tax rate in the Lower Mainland, so super proud of that. And our business tax multiplier is 2.2, so it also attracts and retains businesses here. So
the other very touchy issue, and this is not something that is solely on a municipal level, but it's something that I know that the city of Chilliwack has had to scream at Victoria: transportation, not just Highway 1, but transportation in general. We know that Highway 1 is going to be expanded out to Mount Lehman in Abbotsford. We all thought it was going to be at least out to Annis, and then, maybe to Prest, maybe to... What's going to happen? Are we left out in the cold? I know former MLA John Martin was a little snarky about that. He felt that we were being left out.
Yeah, we have that feeling for sure. I mean, you can see it. It's a continual gridlock. There is actually no passing lane anymore. It's 2 traveling lanes, right? So everyone knows that, which is even more important why we need to keep jobs here in BC, or in Chilliwack, sorry. We don't want to be a bedroom community. We want to have jobs here, so there's less need for the highway expansion. It looks like it's going to be a ways yet. Like when we did the Lickman Road expansion, we were hoping to maybe get like 3 or 4 lanes on that overpass. It wasn't going to happen. It was a commitment right there that just nothing is going to be expanded until, I think they said 2030. So
something like that, yeah.
We're a ways off, so we just got to work with what we do when it comes to the Trans-Canada Highway.
And you have the final word.
Right on. Well, I just want to ask for your support on October 15th. I think we've done a lot of good things, and we want to keep Chilliwack moving forward. We want to keep our tax rates low, and we want to keep expanding our economy. So thank you very much, and please remember to vote on October 15th.
Harv Westeringh, who is running for a second term as Chilliwack City Councillor. And again, a reminder that chillTV will have complete and extensive coverage of election night after the polls close on October the 15th. You're watching chillTV's News of the Week. chillTV's News of the Week, continuing our series of talking with the candidates for the 2022 municipal elections. Whether you are running for mayor, you're running for city council, or you're running for school trustee. Willow Reichelt going for round number 2, if you will, as a school trustee. Let's talk about a big hard point right off the top, and that is book banning. It's become a predominant issue. You have a few thoughts on this.
Yeah, I just think that we need to take an absolutely hard stand against book banning. It's a right-wing trend that's coming up from the States, and it's a racist and homophobic movement that's specifically targeting Black, BIPOC, and LGBTQ authors. And they're guising it under the heading of protecting children, but that's a lie. It's a movement to stifle the voices that they don't want you to hear. And so we need to take a hardline stance against that.
Some of the other issues that we want to talk about, student support with special needs, it seems to have been, because of other things that have been brought up, kind of put to a side, but I know that is a passion of yours that you want to bring up.
Yeah, I mean, my son is autistic. He's graduated now, but so I do have experience with having a child who needed EA support in classrooms, and he actually got very good support. But I know that not every child in the district has had the same experience. I want to make sure that every single kid has the supports they need to be successful, and I think we do have some work to do to make sure that supports are equitably spread to all the kids who need them, for sure.
One of the other concerns that's been brought up with all the candidates, whether it's for school trustee or city council, is Chilliwack only has so much room. Stitos just came online. We've had Imagine High go on. There's now the report that just came down recently about looking at other elementary and middle schools. Do we have room for another high school down the road, or is this going to be a problem finding space?
We actually do have a real problem with space because most of the flat land that's in Chilliwack is ALR land. So we actually can't build schools on it without first applying to get things out of the ALR, which they don't want to do really. So we're constantly looking for 15 acres of flat land. If anyone's got spare 15 acres non-ALR, they want to hand over. So that is actually a real problem. So, we need schools. We need them desperately. Finding the land to build them on is a problem. So we are looking at, creative ways that, when we're looking at additions, we're building up instead of out and things like that.
Would that mean, say, another level to Chilliwack Secondary, or can you go to UFV at Canada Education Park and say, that lovely chunk of forest, we need it?
I mean, our staff does everything they can to find creative solutions. And when we built Imagine High, that was a property that wasn't necessarily even in the right location for a school, but we need space. So they saw the opportunity and they found a creative way to use it. So we're always looking, because we're growing by approximately the size of an elementary school every year. Like 350 to 500 kids every single year. And we don't have the space for the ones we've got already. So we're always looking for land.
There's another issue that has come up, and again, it's been because of other things mentioned, it's been kind of put to the side. And that is, yes, reading, writing, and arithmetic is important, but the trades. And even Barry Neufeld had mentioned that he was concerned that maybe we're not spending enough time with trades. And do we bring back, for lack of a better term, the home economics classes and shop classes and stuff?
Well, I mean, we do have those classes, and actually Chilliwack does some really cool stuff with trades and really bringing in programs that are joint partnerships with UFV. So like, for example, there's a welding program where kids can get their first year welding through the high school at a much reduced rate compared to if they were going to actual post-secondary to do that. We have the hairdressing program at CSS where kids can do their training to become hairdressers. The chefs programs that we have where they actually train how to work in a kitchen are really trades-based. And then, of course, we've got Imagine High, which is integrated arts and technology, which is all about, it's got a professional quality kitchen there, and it has the opportunity to teach stagecraft and stuff like that for the arts as well. So we actually are focusing quite heavily on trades.
And this week is also a special week for Sardis Secondary, the dedication. And some may poo-poo on this because it's a football field, but it's dedicated to Rick Klassen, who is a hero. And there was a time that Sardis didn't have a football program. So for you guys on council, that's got to be a high watermark. That's got to be something to be proud of.
Yeah, I mean, I always say it's an example of like how I care about things even that don't matter as much to me. Like sports are not my thing, but I know that this is such a thing that is really important to people. And sports are a thing that for some kids is the reason they go to school. So I think it's really important to support things, even if it's not really my wheelhouse, but I'm going to support, and I'm going to go see the field get open. So I'm pretty excited about it.
And you have the final word.
I just hope everyone in Chilliwack realizes how important this school board election is. You have a stark choice between candidates who support the modern public education system, who support inclusivity and diversity, and other candidates who don't support any of those things. And I really hope that you pick the team that cares about all kids. Thanks.
Willow Reichelt, who is vying for a second term on Chilliwack School Board. And again, a reminder, chillTV's extensive coverage will be on October the 15th after the polls close for the 2022 municipal election. You're watching chillTV's News of the Week. chillTV's News of the Week, continuing our conversations with the candidates for the 2022 municipal elections, as we've been talking to as many people as possible who are running for either school board, for the mayoral race, or for city council. Speaking of the mayoral race, for the longest time we thought Ken Popoff was the only candidate. No, Ian Carmichael, who is no stranger to the political process. Now, 60-second business card, you have run for public office before, twice, I believe.
Yeah, my best showing was in 2008 when I was the seventh candidate for council seat. So that made me the first loser, but I was pleased with the effort and the response from the community.
What are your passions? What do you want to see? What do you want to bring to the table?
That's a great question, and I think the biggest thing that I want to bring to the table is I want to bring a longer-term vision for the community. I grew up in forestry and was part of a logging family, and that really changes your mindset and how you look at land use planning. And you don't think in 4-year election cycles. You think in 4, 5, and 10 decade cycles. And I know that the shovel that we put in the ground today is going to be part of our community for 4, 5, or 10 decades. And we're facing some real challenges. And our urban containment zone is now essentially full. And we're going to have some really tough discussions with the community on how we accommodate people that are going to be coming to our community in the future.
And I know with environmental concerns that you've always had, you brought up an interesting issue. Do we take a look at what is going to be set aside for industrial use? And the old pick-apart site is a great example of that. Do we reduce the industrial use, and does that become housing, or are we stuck between a rock and a hard place?
We're at a real juncture. Industrial land base, business commercial land base has always been in short supply in Chilliwack, and that goes back, generations, really, back to the 1950s. Our agricultural land reserve was created in the 1970s, which left us with that valley floor urban containment zone where most of the concentration of development has occurred. Yes, we are short of industrial land, and we will have to make sure that we are able to protect some of that industrial land so that we can increase our tax revenues in the future. Tax revenues that are largely supported by single-family residences today.
Bringing up the ALR, and it's a thorny issue with a lot of people, but is it time that we start shaving some of that for residential use, for housing, or is that an untouchable?
It was an interesting point, and I watched the season finale of Chilliwack Now. And former Mayor Clint Hames, who's the host of that show, brought up and put to our mayor that our urban containment zone is now essentially full. Where do we go from here? And our mayor replied to that by saying that the Agricultural Land Commission isn't going to release land for the city of Chilliwack to expand into, and that developers aren't interested in building high-rise structures because it's too expensive. Which begs the question, then what is your plan, Mr. Mayor? I have a plan for that.
Do we build out? Do we build up?
We have to build up.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's what we have to do. We have a very compact, very livable space in our urban containment zone. We can build up, build compact, increase our efficiencies and our population concentrations so that we can have a better transit system, so that we can have more amenities within our livable areas.
It seems when you talk about building up, we're kind of stuck at 5, 6 floors. Dare we go to 10 floors, 12 floors? I know Abbotsford is making that very difficult decision as we speak.
When you look at the history of Chilliwack and our population growth for the last 70 years, our population has actually doubled at least once a decade
Yeah.
on average.
Yeah.
So I said in 2008, and I said this during the council run that I ran in 2008, and I said, Chilliwack doesn't have the luxury of W.P. Kinsella's Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. Because even if we don't build it, they're still going to come.
Right.
And that's going to continue. The problem we're facing now is we can't build it because we've got nowhere to go.
Well, you have the final word.
Final word. Well, thank you very much for having me on the show. I appreciate it, Don. I just want to say to the voters that we do have a very clear choice to make here on October 15th. Do we stay with the mindset and the path that we've been on for the last 40 years, or do we look the challenges that we've got coming down the pipe head on and straight with eyes wide open? I choose the second. So if you would like to join with me and the community as we face these challenges, I would respectfully ask you to vote for Ian Carmichael on October 15th.
Ian Carmichael, one of the two mayoral candidates, as we are coming up to October 15th and the big vote. Thank you for coming.
Thanks very much, Don.
And again, a reminder, chillTV's extensive coverage on election night will be following immediately after the polls close. You're watching chillTV's News of the Week. chillTV continues with our end of the month tradition of Councillor's Corner, Chilliwack City. We're not going to talk the election this time around. We are going to be talking about some of the other projects that are happening within the city with Councillor Bud Mercer. We have Truth and Reconciliation this week. We also, because of the stat holiday, I guess we're going to have to work around garbage collection, recycling, and a few other odds and ends that you want to talk about.
Yeah, I think those things will go ahead as planned,
Okay.
if it's your garbage day. But, on Saturday, October 1st at Heritage Park parking lot, we have the Household Hazardous Waste Day. And that's the day where you can bring things that normally you cannot put into your weekly garbage pickup, of course. And you're free to drop them off at Heritage Park. And if you're so inclined, you want to drop off something for the food bank, that would be a very kind donation. And that's from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock on Heritage at the Heritage Park parking
lot
on
itself, yeah.
Saturday, October 1st. Also on October 1st, at the Home Depot parking lot, it is the annual Chilliwack Safety Fair. Take your kids. It'd be a great opportunity to visit the booths, the activities. There'll be fire department, RCMP, school district, ICBC, transit, Safer City, and more. A great time from 11 a.m. and 1 to come have a look at the booths, learn a little bit about what you can do to stay safe in your home here in Chilliwack. Most importantly for me, not that these aren't important, of course, but September 30th marks the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. It's also the Orange Shirt Day. And this day honors children who didn't return home and the survivors of the residential schools. So it's a way to come out and remember, and a great day for families and communities to get together to think about the past and honor the past. There'll be it's obviously a public commemoration of the tragic and painful history that our First Nations peoples have gone through. And it is the right thing to do to get together and to celebrate these days with them, remember, mourn, cry, hold hands, and to just be there.
And if you want more information on any of that, you can always find it on the City of Chilliwack's website. Bud Mercer, again, a big thank you as always.
Always.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a
Another
great day.
edition of Councillor's Corner, Chilliwack City. And you're watching chillTV's News of the Week.
Good afternoon, everyone. Josh here with you once again. We're back with sports. I don't have any preamble today. Let's just jump right into it. We're going to start with football because it's football season. The GW Graham Senior Varsity Football Squad beat St. Thomas More Knights this past weekend at Exhibition Field, 38-13. It was their annual homecoming game and the final exhibition game of the season. Now they start playing for real. The Senior Varsity Grizzlies are going to begin their regular season on the road Saturday afternoon, October the 1st against Vancouver College. Meanwhile, across town, the Sardis Senior Varsity Football Falcons had their bye this weekend. They play an exhibition game at home against Belmont from Victoria at the newly named Rick Klassen Field on the holiday Friday, September the 30th. The official dedication of the new field name is 1:30 p.m. with the game following at 2 p.m. Again, that's this Friday. The Valley Huskers are hosting the West Shore Rebels at Exhibition Stadium on October the 1st, again that Saturday, at 2 p.m. Just prior to kickoff, the Huskers are going to be taking part in a bit of a helmet swap with the Chilliwack Chiefs. And then later that night, the Huskers are going to bring the Cascade Cup that they won last year to the Chiefs game, take part in a ceremonial puck drop, and the Huskers are going to be serving as ushers at the Coliseum during the game. That sounds like a very busy day for the Huskers and the Chiefs, my goodness. So that'll be a really good time. Like I alluded to, the Chiefs' home opener is this Saturday night against Merritt. The Chiefs will also be part of a new little in-season cup called the Mainland Cup. The Chilliwack Chiefs, Surrey Eagles, Langley Rivermen, and Coquitlam Express's regular season games against each other are going to be tallied throughout the year, with the top team winning a cup at the end of the season. Each team will play 8 games against the other 3 teams. It's very similar to what they do in like European soccer. It's super cool, so go Chiefs. The BC Hockey League has released a statement criticizing Hockey Canada. The Junior A League believes the governing body for Canadian hockey has fallen behind the times, failing to recognize the rise of the NCAA as a route to the National Hockey League. Furthermore, the sticking point for the BCHL is they want to be able to recruit talented 16 and 17-year-old players from out of province. But unlike major junior leagues like the WHL, they cannot do so. There are also other concerns that are noted in the statement as well, including Hockey Canada and the NHL compensating major junior teams when a player from one of those teams is drafted. The BCHL does not receive any money or any compensation, despite producing a handful of draft picks in the NHL draft every year. Hockey Canada has yet to respond to the statement as of yet. Last but not least, the Chilliwack Minor Lacrosse Association, which oversees the Chilliwack Mustangs, are having their AGM October 19th at 7 p.m. at the Sardis Sports Complex. This is a really great way to get to know the organization if you're interested in becoming a part of the local minor lacrosse community right here in Chilliwack. All right, that's all we've got for Sports Day. That was quick, easy. We banged it out. Love it. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. As always, I'll see you next week. Now to Don with the weather.
chillTV weather. As of this past Tuesday, Chilliwack had 54 straight days of drought. That is a new record. Ironically, Friday is now the last day for watering restrictions for watering the lawn. And then Saturday, it's the first day to have your winter tires on your car. This is the long weekend for Orange Shirt Day, and the warm, dry weather continues with highs of 27. If you'd like to participate in reporting news in Chilliwack and you have a story you think we should know about, you can always send us a note to news@chilltv.ca. We'd love to hear from you. We wish you and your family well on this National Day for Truth and Reconciliation as we remember our country's history. That's the news this week. The DPAC School Trustee Candidates Debate is next. Thanks for watching. I'm Don Lehn.